Well, hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be joining you today to talk about how to build connection with staff and volunteers through virtual training for little to no cost. And as Marcella said, my name is Anne-Marie Ronsman. I am the training director for CASA Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We are north of Houston in Texas. I'm also the owner of Mustard Seed Communications, where I do trauma-informed training and curriculum development. I have expertise in building engagement in nonprofits of all sizes, and I have expertise in building engaging learning strategies that work for all generations, so boomers to Gen Z. And I'm also qualified to teach this webinar because I've been training in the nonprofit sector for over 20 years. I'm not a tech person and I'm not a kindergarten teacher. And both of those things are, some of that anyway, helps when you're doing virtual training. So if I can put together virtual training that's engaging at low cost, you can too, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. During COVID, I transformed our organization's training nearly overnight, as I'm sure many of you did. And so we all gained a whole lot of skills in a short period of time. And I have a passion for nonprofits. And so I'm so excited to be with you today and to share some easy strategies to engage your learners. We're all tired of boring Zoom presentations. We're tired of boring Zoom meetings. So I'm excited to share some strategies with you today that you can utilize this afternoon if you want. So just take a minute in the chat box. If you would just tell me where you're from and what organization you're joining us from today, helps me to know a little bit about you. We have Laura. Oop, scrolling fast. I see we have Colleen from Calgary YMCA, Tanya from a small private school in Iowa. We have Madison from Salem, Massachusetts. Shirley from, let's see. Oh, I lost you there. Lots and lots of people. It looks like you're from all different parts of the country. So we have Michael from Florida. We have Jennifer from New Jersey. Lots of youth organizations. That's where my heart is. So thanks so much for checking in and telling me where you're from. I see we have someone from Manitoba. And we have Jessian from Bogota, Colombia. We have Nikki from Indian Affairs. I'm so glad to have all of you with us today and looking forward to sharing some strategies with you. Okay, so what we're going to cover today, we are going to talk about how to use innovative engagement strategies to build connections with staff and volunteers. We're going to talk about how to make virtual training fun at little to no cost. And yes, it can be done. And if nonprofits were struggling with having resources before COVID, we all know that our budgets have gotten cut even more. So little to no cost is exactly our price range. How to use online tools and resources to keep your training new and engaging. You kind of always have to keep pulling new rabbits out of your hat to keep your learners engaged. And you can make your online training superior to your in-person training. That's right, I said it, you can. And I'm going to teach you some strategies for how to do that. The question is, what can we do better in this virtual environment than we do in face-to-face training? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So to start, we're going to talk about how to use innovative engagement strategies to build connection. So we are all connection starved, and we probably were to some degree before COVID. But even now, after COVID, people are even more hungry for real, authentic connections with people. We're all over Zoom calls or Zoom trainings where the speaker speaks and everybody else sits there and doesn't interact. We've all had enough of those. And so the first step is really to connect before content. When you connect with people, you are telling them why they should care. Why should I care that this trainer or that this topic is being presented? The time that you spend connecting will be paid back to you by increased attention and increased willingness to learn. So sometimes it seems like, can I really spend 5 minutes at the beginning of my training or 10 minutes at the beginning of my training doing these strategies? And you can. And it's time well spent because you're engaging your audience. Another thing to keep in mind is your energy and your enthusiasm should be about 2 to 3 times what it is when you're presenting normally. It takes a lot of energy to train over Zoom, and I'm sure you've all found that, but you really have to be mindful of being more animated, more engaging, more energetic than you might be in your in-person trainings. Okay, so another strategy is to look directly into the camera. I don't know if you have been on trainings, you probably have, where somebody's looking at the monitor over here, and so you're looking at the side of their face the whole time. If you are looking directly at the camera, people feel like you're looking at them and you're making eye contact just like you would be if you were in an actual physical training space. And that's much more engaging for people. If you can build short, engaging videos into your presentations, that helps a lot. Little cute ones that you can find on YouTube are great. I like Kid President. They're very cute, very funny. If you can find something that ties into your content or just something that is from the news that's silly or funny, it really helps to engage people, helps to build that connection. Even more than when you're doing in-person training and virtual training, your slides need to be interesting. They need to have color, they need to have graphics, they need photos built in, and not just any photo. So if you look at the photo on the right, you know, this, I'm talking about photos, so that's why I pulled this in, but this isn't your typical picture. And so if you can pull in artistic or interesting pictures, that really helps people visually to get engaged in your training. Funny cartoons or memes are great. Unsplash is the website that I like to use for pictures. They're all publicly available that you can download into your presentations, and they are all free. And they have some gorgeous and very interesting pictures on there. So Unsplash is the resource that I like for that. So plan for an unofficial start. So I'm fairly type A, and so it seems as though, you know, if the training should start at 11, we should start at 11. But what happens is you have people trickling in, right? Some of whom are muted, some of whom aren't. And so as the trainer, you have people's faces that continue to pop up on the screen. And so that's distracting for you, but it's also distracting for the other participants. And so plan for an unofficial start. In that 2 to 5 minutes, past the published start time, make sure that you are engaging your audience and you're planning something. I am not a great small talker, and to me, there's nothing more painful than trying to make small talk with a whole group of people before a class begins. So if you have a planned activity or a question you can talk through with them, or some topic connected to the training, you know, what is your experience with working with children who've been abused or whatever it is, to actually have some structure to that content so that your audience is actually beginning to engage before you even start the content. And by having that unofficial start, it actually helps your audience to be more focused. So how do we make training fun? One of the ways is I love to use would you rather questions. And what's so nice about would you rather questions is you can use them in a group of 5 people and you can use them in a group of 1,000 people, depending on how you want to use it. And so these are some fun ones that I like to use. You can go on Pinterest or Google and just type in would you rather questions and you will find all sorts of them. And would you rather questions are fun, they're engaging, they're quick, but they're also low intimacy. So I'm not asking you to reveal too much about yourself, just some silly little facts. And so most people are willing to participate in that. If you have a small group, people can unmute themselves. They can use the text box, or we can make a poll, and I'm going to show you this. So some of the would you rather questions that I like are, you know, would you rather be a kangaroo or a horse? Would you rather be fabulously famous and poor or unknown and rich? Would you rather live on a houseboat or in an RV? Would you rather be completely invisible for one day or able to fly for one day? Just a way to engage people and to get them connecting with you. So we're going to practice now. I have one of my favorite would you rather questions. Would you rather have a unicorn horn or a squirrel tail? This is one of my favorites. And we are going to do this as a poll question. So you should be able to see it. So if you would all just quickly pick if you would rather have a unicorn horn or a squirrel tail. And so you can do this as part of your presentations real quick. 2 choices, right? And let's see, we're kind of neck and neck. We're 52% unicorn horn, 48% squirrel tail. It looks like we still have people voting, but it's a quick way to engage your audience. It's kind of silly, it's kind of fun, it's low risk, and people will, we'll be having fun and we'll be engaging with you. So it looks like we're at about 54% unicorn horn, 46% squirrel tail, and I would have to agree with that. I would rather have a unicorn horn than a squirrel tail. So great job, everyone. Okay. And so then the other way that we can do this is you can do this through a chat box question. So we're going to use the questions box. And would you rather go to the beach in the summer or go skiing in the winter? And so we can use a chat box. This works well with a little bit bigger groups, but it also, you can use it with smaller groups. And so, let's see here. Screen is stuck on the poll. Let me close that. And okay, thank you for that. So would you rather go to the beach in the summer or skiing in the winter? And as you can see, I put kind of 2 interesting graphics on the screen, so you can do that too. Helps people to get engaged. It looks like we've got a lot of beach people. Sam is a beach person, and Madison's a beach person, and Sue's a beach person. Lots and lots of beach people. So, oh, Erin wants to go skiing in the winter. Love that. Somebody asked, who do I use for polls? You can use just via Zoom. You can build them into your presentations. Real easy to do, and they work great. Lots of beach people today, it looks like. Great, thanks for participating. So just another way to engage your audience. Another way to engage your audience is with what I like to call kind of how are you questions. So these are a little bit more intimate. They take a little bit more time to do. And you can either have participants unmute themselves or you can have them use the chat box, either way. And so, what's your favorite game what was your favorite game as a child and why? If you could be an animal, what kind would you be and why? If you were a vehicle today, what would you be and why? And these may seem really silly, but when you're trying to connect with people, if I came up to you and I said, so how are you today? You would say fine, right? And if I ask that in a virtual way, right? I'm talking to a screen, you're probably muted, I get no response, you don't feel engaged to me. I did this in one of our, one training that I did on Friday, and I did, if you could be an animal, what kind would you be and why? And I got a whole bunch of sloths and dogs sleeping in the sun, and other hibernating bears. And so people would not have told me, this has been a really hard week and I'm exhausted. But they would tell me through the animal question. And so it's kind of a low risk way for people to engage with you and tell you what's going on. That question, if you were a vehicle today, what would you be and why? I was doing a foster parent training once, and I talked to everybody as they're coming into the room, and you know, everybody's fine, everybody's doing fine. And this foster mother said, if I could be a vehicle today, I would be one of those big conversion vans driving down the highway at 90 miles an hour with the doors ripped off with everything flying out as I went down the highway. Okay, so that foster mom is feeling pretty overwhelmed, right? And she may not have shared that with me otherwise. So it's a way to engage people. It doesn't cost anything, and it's actually superior to doing it in person because you can do it so easily through the computer. COVID questions are good right now. What's one thing that you're secretly pleased about that you don't have to do now that you're socially distant? All of us have a few of those, right? And also, what expectations of normal have you let go of? So those are all common experiences. So even if you're training people from diverse backgrounds, you can use these questions because it applies to everybody. When I'm doing training around children, I like that favorite game as a child because it gets the participants into their childlike mind. So that's one of the reasons that I like that. Okay, and then I have get to know you questions. And I use these in my training too. These really don't lend themselves to chat boxes or to polls. So these really work best with a smaller group. I've done them probably with up to 15 to 20 people and had it work well. You have to allow time for that, but it really does build connection, just like you would do if you were training in person. And so it builds connection between the presenter and the audience, but also the audience members and each other. So these are some of the questions. What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done? What do you have on your refrigerator door right now? What are you most passionate about right now? And these are from some great resources, and I'm going to share them at the end, but these are called We Connect cards, and those have some of the quotes on them, and they also have, these are a little bit different, but these are We Engage cards, and they have pictures. And so you could do that too with pictures, where people pick a picture of how they're feeling or some answer to a question, but also the We Connect cards. So this is a great way to have people connect instead of just saying, so how are things going right now? You know, what's one thing that life's teaching you right now? COVID is teaching us all things, right? So it helps to build that connection between your audience. You want to ask powerful questions so that people can build connection, because we are hungry for connection. Since we all kind of learned Zoom together, I think, or a lot of us did, you may not know about breakout rooms. So Zoom has breakout rooms that you can use. So you can take a big group and you can pre-assign them into breakout rooms. And so literally you set it up and it sucks the people out of the main room into the breakout rooms. You can have an activity or a case study that they work on over there, or maybe it's some getting to know you type questions. And then you can bring them back. You can set a timer and it pulls them back into the main training. And so it works really slick. Zoom also has a whiteboard feature that can be used for presentations. So people can mark on a map where they're from, or you know, engage in something else. You can also do whiteboard presentations using Zoom. So those are some different tools that are available to you on the Zoom feature. Kahoot is another great one. So this is a free website. You can use it. It's used a lot actually by elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, but it works great for training with staff and volunteers because it's fun. And so you build the quiz or the question or the game, and you can use it in some different ways. So you could do it to see where your audience's knowledge base is at baseline, so before your presentation starts, or you could sprinkle them in throughout the presentation. You could divide up into teams. You could divide your group up into teams and have them compete against each other. Another great tool is if you have staff that are coming together and they were all supposed to have done something, read an article or read a book or watched a video, you can start your training with a surprise Kahoot with 3 or 4 questions on whatever the content was. And so they're immediately engaged. So this is a very fun tool. It's free. easy to use, and so that's a really fun thing to bring into training. Plamio is another website, and what I like most about this is that they will give you, you can sort, if you look on the bottom of my screen there where it says displaying 23 activities, you can sort the activities by virtual. So you can pick an icebreaker, or you can pick other categories of activities for your audience, but you can do it virtually, and they have all sorts of different ones on here. There is part of it subscription, but much of it is free, and just great out of the box training ideas to engage your audience and pull them in. Okay, so another tool that we can use to make our online training superior to in-person training is the environment. So the thing that you have in common now is everybody's in their natural environment, right? And so the picture that I have here to the left is something that's hanging by my desk. And so those are three things that I really like. But you could give everybody 30 seconds to go grab something from the room they're in that tells something about them. You could give people advance notice and say, I want you to have a favorite picture or a souvenir from a trip available to show. And you can do that where they just show it up to the camera, or you could unmute people and let them, tell what it is. But that's a really fun thing, and that's a way that we can engage that we can't do when we are actually in face-to-face training. Here's another one, favorite picture on your phone from the last month. They just pull it up on their phone and they show it to the screen. You can unmute, or people can just be showing, but allows personal connection. So I went to the beach in the last month, and this is my son who runs cross country. So it's an opportunity for me to share with you, but also for your participants to share with each other. So that's a great low cost way to build connection. You can also have people, these are pictures, but actually bring their animal, bring their pet up to the screen. Great way to build, relationship between people, and that's another thing that you can't do in the office. And when I've done this in training, it takes a little bit of time, but people absolutely love it. We love to show off our animals, and people love to see other people's animals. Another strategy is to go on a virtual field trip. And so this is another example of something that you can't do when you're in-person training, or at least not easily, but you can do in virtual training. So you can go on a virtual field trip somewhere fun. So you could do your training where you as the trainer are in an interesting place. So we had one where you're in an interesting place, or you could have someone from an interesting place join your Zoom call and take you on a tour. You could also do this to engage with community partners. This is a food bank that's in our community. I wanted to show you around, where maybe you can't take your staff of 50 people, but you could do it that way. We did this for one of our trainings where we had a local llama farm come on and tell us a little bit about their nonprofit and what they do for animals, and brought the llamas straight up to the camera, and everybody had a really good time. So that's another thing. Doesn't have to be something fancy, could be a local farm. Lots and lots of fun ideas. This is another tool that's used a lot in elementary schools, but also works great with kids, or great with adults as it does with kids. There's a website called Go Noodle, and you can pull that into your training for a dance break. So if you are training more than about 50 minutes, 50, you should do a 10-minute break every 50 minutes. Even more important now during this virtual training, because people are multitasking, their attention's getting pulled away. So if we can get them moving, we can get them more engaged. And this is something that kind of catches people off guard, and it's fun. You could also do it just by playing a song during your training and have everybody, do a dance. But Go Noodle is really fun. If you like competitions, scavenger hunts are great. So this can be done either as teams, so you can break your group into 2 teams, or however many teams, or you can do it as individuals. But I'm going to give you 5 minutes to look around your house and find all of these different things. And the person who, comes back with it first gets a Starbucks gift card or whatever it is. It takes 5 minutes of your meeting time, but it really will be fun. It's competition, which is really engaging, gets people out of their chairs. And by building that connection, by getting people moving, they're going to be more engaged in your trainings. So these are some of the resources I talked about today. Kahoot, GoNoodle, Plamio, We and Me are the Connect cards. Google Classroom. So if you're doing virtual training, Google Classroom is a great tool. A lot of our kids are using it now, but it also works great for training. If you have different classes that you're doing, you can set up separate Google Classrooms and put all of your training materials in there so you aren't sending a whole bunch of emails, because I know that that gets difficult. And then Unsplash has free, beautiful pictures, and you can pull those into your trainings real easily. So I have my contact information here. I'm just going to take a minute and see what there are for questions. Let's see. Let's see. What if participants are participating by phone? So if they're participating by phone, they should still be able to use the chat box feature on Zoom, I believe. So I would explore that. I mean, of course, also, if you don't have a lot of people that are participating by phone, those individuals could mute themselves. But otherwise, they should really be able to participate. Pictionary, yes, you can do Pictionary using that whiteboard feature on Zoom. That would work well for that. How have you addressed older audiences that are tech savvy? Well, I don't know, are not tech savvy. I don't know that you need to be super tech savvy as long as the presenter is. So, and I'm really not very techy. Everything that I've showed you is very easy, very low cost, and can really be done with just adding an extra PowerPoint or extra slide to your PowerPoint. So that is great. Let's see. Any learning management platforms that are user-friendly? We do not have a learning management platform. I am the learning management platform. So I don't really have any information on that. Let's see here. You're welcome for the resources. Yeah, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to just slip forward a slide, and if you have some questions, I'll continue to look at it. But if you would take a moment and complete the survey, that's great. I never do the same training twice. I'm always improving, so I appreciate your feedback, and I'll continue to watch the box here for questions. Thanks, Jeanette. I'm glad you found it helpful. Thank you, Tessa.
So can I jump in just super quickly?
Yes, absolutely.
So since people are typing in their questions, I'm going to post a link into the questions box to a place where you can submit a short video testimonial about your learning experience with Charity How To. If you want to take advantage of the opportunity, just know that if you decide to submit a video testimonial, we will gift you with a free premium webinar of your choice. You just let us know the name of the webinar and the date you would like to attend, and we will be happy to register you for free if you want to submit that video. Plus, you get a chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card and a silver membership subscription with Charity How To. For those of you who don't know what the silver membership entails, just know that it will grant you access to any and all of our premium recorded webinars, and you can share that membership with 4 more of your nonprofit colleagues. So there you go. Click on that link, save it, bookmark it, and get back to it if you want to take advantage of the opportunity. So back to you, Anne-Marie. Let's see if we have any other questions.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions that I'm seeing.
Okay. Well,
thank you everybody so much for joining, and please feel free to reach out if you have more questions after we're done here. I love training. I love working with nonprofits. So if I can be of any help now or in the future, please let me know. Happy to engage with you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you soon on another Charity How To webinar. Goodbye.